Thank you for pressing play on this video. I'm FPL Physio. I do injury analysis on X on FPL players, and I'm currently ranked 23 in the world in this season's FPL. This is my video where I'll go through all the players that I'm currently looking at and the players that you probably also should be looking at. I've had some complaints about the sound being too low, so I've made some adjustments. Let me know in the comments if it works better. Also, please subscribe, share this channel, whatever you do, like it. This is my team as it stands now. 2.7 million in the bank, 5 free transfers, and currently I'm looking at transferring out Ismail Assar and Enzo. Ismail Assar mainly due to that Palace is blanking in game week 31. Other than that, I think my team is pretty solid. So basically, I'm looking to transfer out those two midfielders, and I know a lot of managers are looking to transfer out those players. Not exactly those two players, but a lot of midfielders. Also, because the more interesting players to buy this game week and the following game weeks is midfielders valued just around that price target. So let's get right into it. So we do want to look at these four teams, and we want to look at them because they don't blank in game week 31. So it's Liverpool, Brentford, Bournemouth, and Fulham. Some of you, if you've already used your wildcard, might want to look more at Liverpool and Brentford due to that the managers, including myself, who still have the wildcard, are planning to use it in game week 32. So we can kind of plan from game week 28 until game week 31. So that would mean we could probably go a bit more aggressive on Fulham or Bournemouth due to the fixtures because we will use our wildcard in game week 32. For those who don't have their wildcard, I would probably look more into Liverpool players and Brentford players. But those are the four teams I'm currently looking at, and I think a lot of managers are looking at. So this is an overview from the prediction model that I use, that I've also partnered with. You'll find the link in the description. So this is midfielders, and here we're looking at the next 4 game weeks. Still has Salah on top. I don't think Salah is a great move because he was subbed off at 75 minutes, I think it was, in the last game. And you want players with a high expected minutes. That's an overall really good strategy as well. Aim for players with that high expected minutes. If you just do that, you'll probably do a lot better. Um, Salah though had some pretty decent underlying stats, but due to the substitution in the last game week, he's just not as interesting. It's a major gamble. Then of course we have Bruno, Dango, and Bemo, Wilson, Rodgers, also Gordon. Um, just to run through these quick, because the more interesting thing is when you set a max at the price. But Bruno, everyone has him. If you don't own him, I think he's still a great buy. Not as many routes to points as before. His DEFCON is taking a hit, so it's more a goals, assist, and that would lead him to the points now. Dango, we'll get more into him later. And Bemo, is he a good buy now? I wouldn't say so. Wilson, great buy. We'll come back to him. Rodgers, also a decent buy, but some tough fixtures coming up. So I want to dive more into the midfielders that I'm actually planning to replace Ismail Assar and Enzo Fernandez with. On top, we have Dango. This is again the same prediction model that I've used and partner with, as I just said. And I've used it all season. So Dango on top. Um, which is interesting because people are talking about Danko versus Schade, and I'll get more into that just in a minute. But then we have Mbemo, Wilson, Rogers, Gordon, Enzo, Indaye, Szoboszlai, Garner. But there's a few players I want to deep dive in, and those four players are these four players: Harry Wilson, Dango, Kevin Schade, and Ryan. These are the most talked players on amongst most of the content creators, most of the FPL community on X, um, and I understand why. Harry Wilson, Dango, Schade, and Ryan have these fixtures coming up. So Wilson is interesting because he has 3 home matches out of the next 4. And his fixture in game week 31 is insane. Home against Burnley. In a game week where most people uh, will have teams that might be struggling. Some might even use the free hit. So Wilson, 3 home games out of 4, decent underlying stats. But again, is he a player that you would look at if you don't have your wildcard, uh, or if you've already used your wildcard? I'm not so sure. So game week 32 and game week 33 is pretty tough fixtures. I mean, Brentford away in game week 33 is here colored red. I don't know if it's a red fixture, but you get my point. So if you don't own Wilson and you don't have your wild card left, I'm not so sure I would go that route. I'm thinking of going the Wilson route due to I have my wild card left, and it's great fixtures, decent underlyings, and just an overall great pick. Then Dango, great fixtures the next 6 game weeks. And if you already used your wildcard, I think Dango is really interested. His minutes seems pretty nailed. Um, Great fixtures, great underlying stats. Um, I mean, it's hard to come up with arguments against, and it's hard to come up with arguments against any of these 4 players: Wilson, Dango, Schade, Ryan, because in the end they all seem like great picks on the paper. And what I think will determine what was the greatest pick of them will be luck. Um, so that's another thing. Don't spend too much time um, thinking about which one of these players is the better call. And there's more players than these, and I'll get back to that. But um, overall, it will come down to luck. Kevin Schade, though, I want to say something here because I wrote an article on X about Kevin Schade, about his um, not being in the starting line against Brighton last game week. And I think this is just a short analysis. I think that Kevin Schade didn't start because he got red carded on the 1st of February against Aston Villa, and he got a 3-match ban. That led to him being out for 2 Premier League games, and he was first eligible to play again the 21st of February. That's 3 weeks out. Now, when you're on a professional level or even just elite level, being out of match time, match minutes, 3 weeks is a long time, especially when you're supposed to be at your absolute peak match fitness. So I think Brentford might have treated Schade the same way you would treat a grade 1 muscular injury, which also takes around, it depends, but 1 to 3 weeks, 1 to 4 weeks, right? Because having not played for 3 weeks and then starting uh, immediately and maybe playing 70, 80 minutes, I mean, it would be a risk. Even though he's not injured, it would be a risk, and it might come down to load management, even though he's not injured. So I think you can also read this article on X, but I think that Kevin Schade didn't start against Brighton because they treated him as though he was coming back from an injury. even though he was not. So I believe Kevin Jada will start the next game, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play full time, of course. But if you're looking at Jada, I completely understand it. Great fixtures. I mean, it's the same case as Dango, but at a higher price tag. So, um, yeah, it was just my quick analysis here. Then we got Ryan. Awesome fixtures. What a start he's at Bournemouth, and 3 of the next 4 games is at home. Many people are arguing that he might not be so nailed due to Tavernier's back. I don't think Tavernier will touch Ryan minutes as much as other people think. I think that Tavernier will mostly mess up with Krupi minutes or even Atli minutes. I think that Ryan is pretty locked, and I know it's a bit risky to say this because he has only been in Bournemouth for what 4 game weeks, right? So we don't really know like the long-term trend of his minutes and performance. His underlying stats is decent; they're good. He has produced great points in a short span of time. But again, if you have already used your wild card, I'm not so sure he's a good pick. I'm not so sure. Um, while I do believe he's pretty nailed, we can never be certain. I mean, Bournemouth has more offensive players than City and Arsenal combined. I mean, it's crazy. Um, and if you've used your wildcard already, then you don't have the flexibility probably to sub him off in game week 32, and then he only has 4 great matches, and with with a minutes risk, and we don't really know how Bournemouth will line up. Even though I think he's pretty nailed, you can never be certain. Um, and I think of these 4 players, Wilson and Dango is more nailed than the rest. Yeah. Sorry, I think the microphone got away a little bit. I hope it was okay. So other 4 players, Rodgers, Gordon, Tavernier, and Wirtz. Now Rodgers, I want to quickly run over these. Rodgers, I don't think he's a good pick, and I've said this for a long time. He has produced some absolutely crazy hauls, but if you look at the underlying stats, it's. I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that Enzo Fernandez has double the expected goal involvements as Morgan Rogers has. If you own him, he's of course a hold. But look at these fixtures here: away against Wolves, home against Chelsea, away against United. The good thing here is that he doesn't blank, and his long-term fixtures is great. But the next 3 games, Wolves away, it's a lot tougher than it was earlier in the season. I'm not thinking about Rodgers currently. Might change my mind, but not currently. He's not a buy for me. Then we have Gordon. Gordon is doing crazy in the Champions League, and he's on penalties, but his expected minutes is quite low. I think it's around 72, 73. If you look at the prediction model that I use, and it's just when Champions League is back, Newcastle will probably rotate a lot. I mean, it's a major gamble. I wouldn't touch him. Tavernier back from injury, played 10 minutes the last game week. Home against Sunderland, home against Brentford. The same fixtures, of course, as Ryan. But Tavernier is just back from injury. I think it's too soon to buy him. I think I wrote an article also on X, I think, or at least a post, where I talked about his chances of starting, and I think there is only a 35% chance of him starting. I think there's a way higher chance for him to to play 30-35 minutes. I've also made a video on YouTube about this, so you can go and watch that. I think it's too much of a risk, even though it's great fixtures. Wirtz, also a bit risky. I think you would need to wait for the press conference. He had to leave in the warm-up last game week due to an injury, probably just a niggle. But I would wait for further information on Wirtz. Other than that, Liverpool, I think it's Liverpool players are great. Great long-term fixtures. They're looking better and better, and Wirtz's underlying stats is way better than they were in the beginning of the season. When I talk about underlying stats, just want to make that clear. I'm mainly referring to expected goal involvements, but also non-penalty xG. So the expected goals, if you remove the xG they get from penalties. Yeah, those were my quick analysis on those 4 players as well. So defenders, let's just run through this quick. People are also asking me about several transfer ideas they have for their defenders. I think these 4 are the most interesting ones. Senesi and Hill, both really good picks. Bournemouth, look into this. Bournemouth's home stats when it comes to expected goals conceded are, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but almost just as good as Arsenal. Bournemouth at home, their defense is a fortress. It's insane. It's so good. And they have 3 out of the next 4 is at home. Great picks. Even though it's United, I mean, it's still fine. It's still fine. If I own Hill and Senesi, I would probably still play them against United. Hill also cheap. I mean, what an enabler to have. So I might buy either Hill or Senesi if we get news about Timber not being so locked and nailed, because he got subbed out at the 57th minute, I think it was, against Spurs. So if we get news that he's, I don't know, rested or he's not so nailed, I'll probably move for a Hill or a Senesi. Virgil, great buy. Long-term great fixtures, threat on all set pieces, racks up a bit of DEFCON. Liverpool is looking better. Not amazing, but when it comes to expected goals conceded, they're amongst the best. Great buy. A lot of people are asking me, should I sell this and buy Virgil? And most of the times, I think he's a decent pick. He's a really good pick. I already own him, so yeah, that's just great. Then we have Andersen. Or actually, just to say one more time, if you already used your wildcard, then Virgil is a great pick because he has great fixtures past the blank game week in 31. Where the other 3 here, Senesi, Hill, and Andersen, they doesn't have a great fixtures, like long-term fixtures. But if Andersen is again 3 out of 4 at home, Burnley at home in 31, where we have the blank game week. That's such a good player to have for that game week. I already own him. Is he a buy? Maybe if you have your wild card. But I mean, it's very team dependent. So I'm not so sure. Okay, that was a long video. Please, if you watched it to the end, then please let me know by commenting Karabunga, however you spell it. I want to know how many people actually watch this to the end. So comment Karabunga or Karabunga. Just write a weird word. Subscribe, share, like. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. See you next time.